I'm very excited to be joined in the studio today by Christine Abu-Asali. She's the co-chair Policy and Regulation Working Group at the MENA Fintech Association and also partner at Lem Associates. Christine, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you very much for having me on your show.
So as mentioned, you do wear multiple hats. You're a partner at a law firm and you chair up this policy working group. What was it that initially drew you to this intersection of law, technology and finance?
Yes, I would say that I was always drawn to complex areas of law. I started my career working on derivatives and securitizations, which are complex areas of law. And I remember one of my first job interviews being asked, what's the difference between, from a lawyer's perspective, between selling shoes and selling financial products? So, obviously, shoes, you know what it's designed to do. You know what can go wrong. The worst can go wrong. You can even try it on. Whereas a financial product, it's far more complex. The risk may be opaque, and you can really lose a lot. You can lose your savings and your money. So yeah, the more complex a product is, the more the impact of the lawyers and the regulators is important. And this really appeals to me quite a lot. I would say today in the fintech space, this is even more accentuated because regulators and the lawyers are actually shaping the market. They're not just reacting to it. And we are seeing this with companies looking to set up in jurisdictions where the regulatory framework is clear and certain. And this is one of the reasons a lot of companies are coming to set up in ADGN and the IFC and the UAE.
Well, that's actually a great segue, really. You have just taken on this role as co-chair of the Policy and Regulation Working Groups Council at the MENA Fintech Association. What are some of the concrete problems that you're trying to solve?
Really? Thank you for the question. At MENA Fintech Association, the council really is about trying to work with regulators and innovators to move forward together and bring regulation really forward. So innovators are building great products, and regulators are there to support them and also to protect the markets. Our role is to bring together the two, create a structured and constructive dialogues. Try to solve issues as they arise, and really more broadly create a culture where compliance is seen as enablement for the business, and where regulatory is understood, because companies who engage with these questions early tend to really thrive and do very well and be sustainable.
So let's talk about that regulatory landscape, because obviously here in the Middle East, there are a number of regulators. We have the DFSA, we have VARA, we have, FSRA in the ADGM. For a founder watching this, how do they even begin to navigate this landscape of all the different regulators?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think in the UAE, we are lucky to have multiple regulators, and it's a wealth, at least for the time being. It's still a wealth. And I would tell a founder to first start by asking themselves 3 questions. The first question, what is my product? So say you are in payment. What's the product? Describe it. Are you keeping processing data for customers? Are you handling client money? Are you storing value? So this is one question. Second question is, what is my activity? Say you're in digital assets. Are you a broker-dealer? Are you enabling buyers and sellers to exchange on a platform? Or are you keeping safe custody? The third question is, who are my customers? Are my customers, and where are they? Are my customers the public, retail investors, or are they professional clients, or are they market counterparties? And where are they based? Are they only in ADGM or the rest of the UAE? And how will I go to reach out to them? And really, once you've considered these things, I would definitely recommend you speak with your advisor. And together with these questions, that will help you determine which regulator to approach.
And so in your view, from what you've seen, it's much better to ask yourself those questions up front and then just select one rather than, having all those discussions with regulators first. Really ask yourself.
Well, of course, you can always approach regulators, and regulators are very approachable in the UAE, and they want to engage. So yes, please, by all means. And you may need to actually go and get approval from more than one regulator. and that is often the case in the UAE. But I would definitely say, like, do this work first. Don't just decide without doing this work, I'm gonna just speak with one regulator and this is where I want to be. Of course, things like where I want to be set up, what's the ecosystem, the legal framework are important questions as well. But do not forget the other three questions, because then you would find yourself having to then comply with different regulations that you had anticipated at the outset.
Yes, and then the regulation could become burdensome in that case.
Exactly.
So final question for you. There's been a wave of new rules around crypto licensing here in the UAE, and you have large experience fines for unlicensed players. You are a qualified lawyer as well. Do you worry that compliance costs could start to crowd out some of this innovation?
No, I really would not worry that compliance costs crowds out innovation. Because it's essential part to it. You cannot have sustainable innovation without compliance. And I mean, let's take a simple analogy. Like, we wouldn't allow a doctor to operate on a patient without having a medical degree and years of training. And similarly, we cannot allow an unlicensed player, operate in financial markets without a license. Now, of course, if regulations are not appropriate and inadequate, then that could add costs. But luckily in the UAE, the regulations are proportionate and risk-based, meaning depending on the level of risk, what your activity entails to you and the stakeholders and the wider system, then the compliance cost and the compliance burden is higher. So say you are in operating in a sandbox. In this case, your activity is limited, your stakeholders are very limited, and as such, your compliance burden is much lower. On the other hand of the spectrum, if you are fully operational, you are holding retail client money, you are at the highest end of the compliance scale, and that is completely understandable. So I guess, yeah, the compliance and compliance is necessary. It's about whether the regulations are adequate, proportionate, and risk-based or not.
Incredible. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was really great to have your views from both the legal compliance perspective and also innovation. So thanks so much.
Likewise. Thank you very much.